right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's good day in South Kansas City, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. I'm Scott Taylor, 6th District at Large City Council, and each of the council people up here, we're going to speak very quickly because I know it's warm, it's getting warm, but I wanted to, we've got a few things today. So we've got a ribbon cutting for this parking lot we're going to do in just a second. We have a time capsule, 50-year time capsule for South Kansas City. We have a lot of students that participated in writing an essay about what they thought South Kansas City was going to be like in 50 years that are in there, plus a lot of other things that have been contributed. And then we have, we wanted to make this even a bigger event, so we have a special breaking news announcement for you. So I've got a special guest I'm going to invite up right now, and I'm not going to give you any idea what the announcement is, but and turn it over, and if you can make sure you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Zach Moores. Glad to be here. I am the owner of Crow's Coffee. I have one on 51st and Brookside Boulevard, one in Waldo, and I have been speaking with Brandon Buckley, Lane 4, of course, being pushed by these two guys right here a little bit. I'm happy to announce that we signed a lease on Tuesday for Red Bridge, and hopefully should be open by the end of the year, first at the beginning of the year, and we're really excited to be at Red Bridge. I've always loved this neighborhood. I love Southtown, and I want to be part of this neighborhood for a long time, and I look forward to meeting all of you in there at some point. So thank you, guys.
We are very excited about that because at Red Bridge, with all the momentum, the number one thing we first heard was a restaurant. We've got Blue Moose Bar and Grill opening up soon. The hardware stores reopened. That was another thing that everybody said they wanted, and they told the developer. But a coffee shop was in the top 4, and so that's a big deal. And we think we've got a great local owner that's very, as you can see, loves working with the community, and that's what we want in Red Bridge. So thank you for all of you that showed up at all those meetings, because that's helped get that done. If we hadn't revitalized the shopping center, we wouldn't be making that announcement today. The good news is we have another announcement coming up. I just can't make it today. So we have another business that we'll be announcing very quickly. It's one that you all requested, so thank you very much. So we are here today. We have a lot of momentum in South Kansas City, and a lot of it started a few years ago. We had to get some large things done first. We had to get the Cerner project done to create that 16,000 jobs in South Kansas City, the investment. We had to get the Burns and McDonald expansion done here. And what that did is give people a lot of comfort in making these smaller investments. And so that's why the Red Bridge Shopping Center finally moved forward with the complete rehabilitation, because a developer mentioned that they felt more comfortable with Cerner and Burns and Mac and other things happening in the area. So we put the building blocks in place, and now we're starting to see the benefits of that for smaller projects, which will benefit us on a daily basis. A coffee shop is a big deal. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come up. I'm at a restaurant or a grocery store, and we'd really like to have a coffee shop at Red Bridge. So
We have one now.
we have one now.
Right.
And do we have coffee today too? Is it?
There is coffee inside the Trailside Center.
All right. We have free coffee, and so I feel like kind of like Oprah. You get coffee, and you get coffee. That was off the script. Sorry. We're here today, though. Let me get back to why we're here today. Because all the momentum, we have a lot of great community groups that meet in South Kansas City, and this is one of the key meeting places. This is our community meeting room behind us at the Trailside Center. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but last year, 8,200 people went through those doors. And because of that, we needed more parking. I mean, it's that simple. And so this is a great example of a lot of people working together. This lot, and many of you know this, but there used to be a building right where everybody's standing. And that building was in pretty bad shape. I would call it a blighted building because nobody was really interested in doing anything with it since the restaurant closed. So we were using this informally as parking, but we needed a nicer parking lot for the Trailside Center. We have so many people come into the community and people here use it. And so I really want to thank the Parks Department. They've done a great job in the design. Let's give them a round of applause. But I really want to thank my colleagues. This has been a 5th and 6th district. We work on a lot of things together, and colleagues have been really good. getting together on this. We put the money together from both PIAC to make this happen. So I'll have them speak in just a second. But the other thing we really want to thank are our PIAC people. We have, and I'm going to just start with our 6th district and let the 5th district thank theirs, but John Sharp and Stacy Johnson Cosby. Without their leadership, this wouldn't happen either. So let's give them a round of applause. Now they are, ironically, there's a PIAC meeting scheduled this morning. That's where they're at. And they really wanted to be here, but they're dedicated, and so this was an important meeting, and we understand they're going to be here later, though. The other people I want to thank, I asked, appointed Ann O'Hare and Chuck Loomis to head a citizens committee for the time capsule, because I wanted there to be citizens participation in this, and so we formed a committee of several people, and I just want to thank them because they've spent quite a bit of time. This time capsule didn't just show up full of contents. We had to go out and meet with a lot of people to explain what we were doing, and they did that. And want to thank Jean McGuire. And let me just read through these, and we'll give them a round of applause all at the end. But Jean McGuire, Marietta Selman Gumble, Annette Hauk, Katrina Foster in my office, and she's done a lot of great work on this. In addition to that, Barbara Averill and Carol O'Malley. So everybody I just mentioned, raise your hand and let's give them a round of applause. A lot of hard work went into this. With that, what we plan to do is I'll just turn it over to have everybody speak in the order that we've got here, and then we will do quickly do the ribbon cutting. And what I'd like to do is, this is really a community event, so we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a community ribbon cutting. I want everybody that wants to participate get behind us in the ribbon and help us cut that ribbon. It'll be a little bit tight and it'll be hot, but that'll be fun. So when we get to that, we'll do that. Then we're going to bury the time capsule, and then we have a reception inside, and we have free coffee. So let's have some fun. Thank you. I'm going to ask Councilman McManus, who's been great to work with, come up and thank you. Thanks, Scott.
Hey, everybody. Kevin McManus, good to be here. I want to thank, I'm going to thank a few people very quickly. It's getting warm out here, but I want to thank Scott actually first. This was a 5th and 6th district collaboration, and we've done, there's several examples of those, but this is one of the first since I've been elected to actually see it come forward and be finished. So I take personal pleasure in that, but I want to thank Scott for really spearheading this time capsule concept and pushing that forward. There's been a lot of other people who have been involved, but one thing I want to say that's important here is this, to me, isn't really just about a parking lot. It's actually much more than that. What happens in the Trailside Center is really important stuff. We have not just this Trailside Center that sits at the crossroads of the three trails, right? And Ann and Chuck can talk to you about that, and there's more information inside if you're not aware of kind of the historic significance of where we are. But it's also a crossroads, I think, of kind of community thought and participation and input. Center planning meets here. Our 6th district second Fridays meet here every month, and that's a tradition that's been going on now for over decades, as center planning has with KB and with Carol. I should recognize you as well as your board. But there are other community groups that meet here regularly, and that's so important for us as policymakers to get the community input we need to make good decisions. And so what happens here today is much more than a parking lot. It's really, I think, the crossroads of input that make our city great. And the Trailside Center is a great example and platform for getting that dialogue and getting that discussion going. So with that in mind, though, I think I'm in charge of thanking some people who made this possible as well, and many of mine are a part of Parks, and top of that list is obviously Mark McHenry, who's standing here to my right. And I want to personally thank Mark, not just for his leadership and helping us guide through the process and getting this done, but putting the team together in order to make sure it got done on time, and the product looks as good as it does. So thank you, Mark. Part of Mark's team, critical parts of Mark's team, I'll recognize Heidi Markle and Carol Green, who are part of the planning team for this event, helped us provide the sound and the podium that I'm speaking at, and Rodney Riffle, who's the landscape architect, who actually met with community groups, got the input, helped work with the subcontractors and contractors, and coordinated this time capsule for this event as well. So let's recognize Heidi, Carol, and Rodney as well. I want to recognize Richard Brown, who's here from the state legislature. Richard, there you are. I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for what you do in Jefferson City. I know how difficult that is. And I want to also thank our 5th and 6th District PIAC reps who really made this happen in a way that we see here today, because without the participation of both, this was a discussion that happened before I got on the council, but without the cooperation of both districts, really we wouldn't be here today. And then I also want to thank Fred Wickham, who's my aide, who helped as well as kind of with the planning process. So thank you, Fred, and thank you to our PIAC reps who aren't here. I'm, I guess, in charge of introducing Alissia Canady. Alissia and I came in together. We're both in our first terms, but it seems, I said yesterday, 2 years seems much longer than what I thought it would be. And I mean that, you know, in honesty, but also in goodness, because it's been a real pleasure working with Alissia, as well as our other new colleagues. I've known Scott before, but I've really gotten to know Alissia firsthand, and that collaboration that we've been talking about is really critical to the success of South Kansas City and making sure that we're working together in a unified voice. So without further ado, Alissia Canady, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming out. Again, the sun's beaming. We're happy to have a nice, warm first day of fall. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. And it's great weather for the first day of fall, but we also want to make sure that you guys don't stay out in the heat too long. So I will make my remarks brief. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you all that worked to come up with this. So I'll start my acknowledgments by acknowledging Center Planning, who I believe started the PIAC request for this project, and those that worked consistently to advocate for this part of their community. You know, we talked about the highest and best use when we use taxpayer dollars, and so while it's just a parking lot, but it creates a space for you all to come together as a community and get to know one another and work on other progressive opportunities for your community. And so I'm excited about the ability to support those type of initiatives. The Trailside Center is a great space, a great gathering place for our community, and you guys, Ann and Chuck, who are going to be coming soon, will just give a little bit more insight about how important it is to this community. And so while this is a collaborative approach, the real innovators, the real architects of what we are celebrating today are the neighborhood leaders. And so thank you all. Give you guys a round of applause. So I'm really excited about that. There are a few other people I'm supposed to thank. I got my little talking orders that I was given. We have several business people that contributed to making this celebration exciting. We have Neighborhood Cafe, South Kansas City Chamber, that and a number of different organizations that brought together the sponsors. So Neighborhood Cafe, Cookie Dough Madness, Crow's Coffee, who's been acknowledged, and again the Trailside Center and the Historical Society of New Santa Fe. And so thank you all for your contributions, your participation in helping keeping this community together. And I also like to take a moment to acknowledge the 5th District PIAC reps, Edward Bell and Ruth Turner. Ruth Turner is returning with this council term, and that speaks to the importance of the continuity of the PIAC representatives that have the relationships with the community, that understand the projects and how the process works, and are able to work with staff. So those relationships are important, and we appreciate their service, and they're working today. So thank you very much, and I will call up the next person on the list, who is a very hard worker, civil servant, and community partner, Mark McHenry, Director of Parks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the introduction. I know we mentioned earlier the PIAC reps that are at City Hall making some important decisions for the future of Kansas City, and with that I'll mention a gentleman by the name of Richard Allen. He is our PIAC coordinator, so he's down here this morning joining your representatives from both the 5th and 6th District in the PIAC process. I want to recognize a few more folks from KC Parks, who of course recognized Heidi earlier, and when we build a parking lot like this, and I'm going to mention his name again, and that's Rodney Riffle. Sometimes we go out and hire a landscape design firm or architects from outside, and they come in and do it. But in this case, we had in-house design, which is important. That saves money and gets you a good product, and that's, of course, Rodney Riffle. And so thanks again, Rodney, for your good work on this. Also, this parking lot's going to take a little maintenance. I'm sure we're all going to do our share and pick up maybe a little bit of trash on a regular basis, but we can't expect people to be cleaning the parking lot every day. We got some grass to mow and some shrubs to trim and some trees to keep healthy, and that's going to shift to our operation division of KC Parks, and that's led up by our Deputy Director, Terry Reinert is over there, and Devin Wetzel, There's our park superintendent, and Colby Biswell's back there on the barricade. And he's our area superintendent. So maintenance operations are critical to the future of this parking lot. We're glad to have it part of our park system. We, of course, look at the Trailside Center as a South Community Center. We don't have a center in this area, so this is our community center. And I know we've been a great partner with Chuck and Ann over these years to help this facility continue. And also we have a trail behind us, the Indian Creek Trail. This is a trailhead too. So if you know that parking lot's full there, you fill it, jump over here, and you go spend some time in the trail. So it has kind of a dual purpose. Also, you might note the 125 on the podium. Casey Park System was established in 1892, so 125 years ago. We're celebrating our 125th year, and we will continue that throughout the remainder of 2017. A little bit of statistics for you that Rodney put together. The parking lot construction did begin in March. And of course, said it before, this is a pretty rough piece of land, so it's got a higher, better use. 31 spots, and of course we have a couple of ADA spots were important. We have the bicycle station, so if you're got a little low on your tires, you can pump it up, or if a little couple nuts or adjustments that you have to make on your bike, there's the tools over there for you. It's pretty handy. We also have Mega Industries today represented, construction side. There's the guys over there in the hard hats. They're the builders, made it happen. The funding, of course, came from both District Number 5 and District Number 6. First goal was to purchase the land, which took place, and then, of course, the construction followed. 350 plus cubic yards of earth had to be moved to establish a good base for the parking lot. Over 100 plus cubic yards of concrete, and 14,000 square feet of asphalt, and 41 trees, and 9 limestone fence posts that are right over there. And of course, there's a sign there that goes right along with that. I think the great idea for the time capsule, I know Councilman Taylor always has very unique, creative ideas.
Very unique.
And we appreciate that. I tell you, we took an old water tower that had zero use, and now it's an icon in South Kansas City. And of course, the time capsule day is part of it. So we're waiting for the next great, creative, innovative idea from Councilman Taylor. So anyway, good work by everybody. Is Vicki here from the South Chamber? There you are, Vicki. Well, thanks for helping out with Heidi and her team and making all this take place. And I will mention the next event that we're going to have will be the dedication of the MIRE fountain at MIRE and Ward Parkway. We're probably about a month away from having that take place, so we'll get the notice out as far as the date and the time is concerned. So we look forward to joining you at that time. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to Chuck. Is that right? Yep. You're on the agenda, Chuck. Okay. All right.
Let's give Chuck and Ann a big round of applause. They do so much for the Trailside Center, and they do a great job, and they have for years. Also want to quickly thank, I thought it was in someone else's comments, but this takes multiple councils sometimes, and so I want to thank back to Councilman Chuck Eddy and Alvin Brooks. Without them, we wouldn't have the Trailside Center in the first place, and my wife, Kathy Jolly, who served on the council, with John Sharp as well, and with that, Chuck, you've done a great job, and we really appreciate it as a community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess first of all, I'm going to fill in for Councilman Barnes, who's not here this morning, but he was to announce the Time Capsule Committee, which Marietta Selman Gumble was mainly responsible for organizing and cataloging all the donations. Thank you, Marietta. And Annette Hauk. Annette Hauk created the programs and making all Trailside Center refreshments. So thank you. She does that all the time for us. She really is great. Also, I'm to mention these great organizations, and a lot of people here are on in those organizations: Center Planning and Development, Winter Roads, Linden Hill Neighborhood Association, South Kansas City Alliance, and so with that, I guess I'm the last speaker.
You are the last speaker, unless anybody else wants to speak. I think we're. Ann, would you like to? Just come up and say a couple of words.
Give us the history of South Kansas City.
Ann did a wonderful job on our TV interview the other night, so come on. Yes.
Hi all. Not really prepared for this, except when I was listening to all of the wonderful comments. There were a couple of things, and I will mention why it's named the Trailside Center. is because of the 3 original National Park Service, Oregon, California, and Santa Fe trails. And the marker over here is one of a series that was put together by Lou Austin, who is here somewhere. He's very, very involved with all of the history here. And then one of his big helpers is Mike Graff, and I see Mike in there somewhere. And then I will say that the Trailside Center's name came up through one of our original members of the Historical Society of New Santa Fe, and that's Peggy Hughes, who is here. And she called it, why not call it the Trailside Center? So that's where we are. And I will say to Rodney that the marker is absolutely wonderful, and we just love it the way they fixed it. When we started, this was kind of one of those things that just falls into place. We were in the right place at the right time because of Chuck Loomis and Chuck Getty and Alvin Brooks were looking for someone to take care of this old bank building that had been halfway destroyed, eliminated, I should say, to allow the fire station to be there. And with Chuck and his wonderful help through the Linden Hill Homes Association, he's done so much for this area, the Lydia Bridge and many, many other things. We were asked to do this, and the 3rd time we were asked was the charm by Chuck Eddy, and so here we are still 12 years later. And we've been open every day for 7 days a week for 12 years. This wouldn't have, thank you, it wouldn't have happened though without the Parks and Recreation Department through Mark McHenry. And I have to say that Mark is the headstone or whatever I can think of to call him, because he came up with helping getting this together and helping with all of his staff throughout all these years in many, many ways. So I do appreciate that's where it came in. And then we have our city council members who have stuck with us for the second Fridays all these years. And having Councilman Taylor and Councilman McManus now with us just means everything to us, because we are still wanting to keep going, and with their support that's the reason. And we are a team effort. There is nothing that has been done by one person. We all work together. I can't thank everybody enough. I'm thrilled now to be part of the 5th District as well as the 6th District. And every one of you, I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. I see Rick Chambers over there, who's part of the Center High School, and they're very supportive. And so there's thanks to our committee that came together for this, but like I say, we all work together. I hope I haven't forgotten anything, but Scott and Kevin, thank you very, very much. Alissia.
Okay, it's time for the community ribbon cutting, and I'm serious when I say let's get everybody in the picture. Everybody say 1. Well, let's say coffee on 3.